start the Regency dress project. I've been planning this for months. It's taken quite a lot of pulling together because I was originally just going to make a dress, and then I realized you need a chemise, you need a pair of stays, and then I'm going to do a police coat over the top as well. So we're going to do a whole Regency outfit. Now, the reason I'm doing this outfit is obviously I love the era. I've also realized some connections with some other points in history which make it really fascinating. It also happens to be the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen. My favorite movie is Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version. And I thought, you know what? Why not make a whole Regency outfit and then share all the textiles, all the pattern making knowledge, all the inspiration, all that knowledge of the time with you guys. I've got my inspiration images. I'm going to start with mood boards for each garment. Thing is, originally I was just going to do dress, but obviously it was never just the dress. There is a chemise underneath, a pair of stays, kind of like a corset, but a bit more comfortable, a day dress over the top, and then a police coat. So I'm going to make mood boards for each of those, and we're going to start designing them. So let's go. So this is the book that I'm going to be using for all my mood boards. I've got project concepts, content ideas, designing, just notes and stuff for when I was planning the project. Now we're going to actually start with mood boarding and start. So here's where I started. I found this great image on Pinterest of 19th century fashion. It kind of just shows up here the Regency era, 1801 to 1820, and that really shows the Regency period, which kind of more started in 1790, but that's the early part of the 19th century, and then you kind of work your way through. So it's just a beautiful way to see how the dresses change all the way up to 1897 down here. So I just thought that was a good reference to start with. I started a page on chemise. So I've already got a fabric that I'm going to use, which is a really nice fine cotton from the fabric store. And I think because I'm going to be doing a short sleeve day dress, I'll do a sleeveless chemise. So it's whether I do it just as a straight column or whether I do a bit of a train on it as well. This is essentially like the goal silhouette for the dress. This is more of an evening dress, but this is the goal of the dress silhouette. The more column at the front and a bit more fabric at the back. This is my file fabric, which is a really beautiful, very lightweight cotton voile from the fabric store. And I'm using a lighter cotton twill as a lining fabric. That's from the fabric store as well. They're both nice and soft. Because this is brighter, it kind of lifts the color of this one as well because it's quite sheer. For the back details, I really love this diamond kind of concept, but I'm like, how am I going to do that if it's opening at the back? I'm going to kind of have to figure that out. I also love the kind of lower back neck as well. So I'm going to kind of somehow combine all of these. And then in the Regency period, the body was kind of very similar across the dresses, but it's really the sleeves that had a lot of detail. I'm just in love with this kind of slash and bubble method. At that time and in previous eras, it's all about that extravagance of showing that you can afford the fabric underneath and slash and open it and pull it through so people understand how wealthy you are essentially. But I like the kind of boarding or piping around that edge. I do like this kind of cotton muslin cheesecloth peeking out, or I could do more of a special fabric coming through with a bit of a lace trim. I was thinking for the police coat, which is the overcoat, that I could replicate that diamond shape up here and maybe do some honeycomb smocking. I also saw this idea of the honeycomb smocking but putting pearls in it, so that's really cool. I think I'll also do some of this cording work, kind of replicate the kind of bows here and maybe put a bow at the center back, because one of my prints that I'm doing with Spoonflower has a ribbon kind of bow in it, so that would be a nice way to tie in physical elements with print elements. These are just some more textile manipulation ideas. I'd love to do some cartridge pleating. I know that's more the previous eras, but that could be cool at the back of the police coat. I love all this ribbon work. I think traditionally that was more done on the hem of the dress. That could be a cool way of adding a bit of detail to the hem. So here I am draping the chemise onto the mannequin. I've already put down some black elastic lines onto my dressmaking mannequin so I can actually see where the armhole and the neckline are going to sit underneath the calico. So then I can drape the half body on the front and the back, and I can see the shape of the chemise lines underneath it. So once I get that basic block, I take it off and then I can actually start tracing it onto pattern making paper. Now I know that I want to split it and open it up so I can get some gathering around the front and the back neckline. This is me cutting it out in the cotton voile. I'm also doing my pair of stays. So this is me cutting out the main fabric and the lining. So I was kind of doing both at the same time. I was really happy with how the chemise turned out. It's actually perfect. I ended up not putting an underbust line because I just didn't want it to be too fitted. So here's how the chemise turned out. It is perfect and exactly what I wanted, and adjustable as well. Good length. Now, doing the pair of stays, I actually bought a pattern for this because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to corsetry or anything like that. So I bought a pattern off Etsy, and it was a whole new experience. I'm so used to just doing outerwear that doing something that is so fitted and has such different techniques than I'm used to doing is actually scary and exciting. But yeah, it was a really good learning experience for me. I was working with a cotton drill and then a cotton twill lining. So very sturdy fabrics. And this is me kind of putting it together and then adding a silk and viscose bias binding on the inside. So they're the kind of inserts for. So now that I had the chemise and the stays pretty much started and going, I needed to actually design the dress. So this is me looking at my visual diary, looking at Pinterest and seeing the kind of inspiration that I wanted and adding all those elements together in a final drawing on Procreate on my iPad. I also was able to add in my actual spoonflower print into the dress just to get a full visual of what it's going to look like. Have a final design. It's perfect. And I put the print in it. So this is what it looks like. It's so pretty. Like these sleeves here, they're going to be like these sleeves here. I'm going to have to find a fabric that I can kind of put through. I think it's just going to be like a tonal color with the base color of the print. And hopefully I can find a really nice fine muslin. So it's kind of like sheer and really pretty. So wish me luck. Now, similar to draping on the mannequin as I did with the chemise, I'm just using some calico and doing the half body for the front and the back. Now, the interesting thing with this type of Regency day dress is that it's got quite a lot of layers. So because it's opening at the front, it's that kind of bib front, apron front, historically accurate opening. There was quite a lot of design lines. So I started with just the basic block. I've put darts in at the bust and the waist. And then I'm starting to actually draw the design lines on so I know what I need to be taking off that final block. Then once it's fitted to my mannequin, I can actually just peel it off and start looking at what all those darts and fullness look like. I've just finished draping on the mannequin and I have my pattern pieces here. Because there's going to be a lot of different lining pieces and there's kind of a fold up apron bib front, which is more historically accurate for that era. Quite a lot of fiddly pattern pieces that kind of layer over the top of other ones. I've got my base pattern that I draped onto my mannequin that I've drawn all of the design lines for where I want everything to sit. So now I'm going to be swinging out the fullness of the darts into different seam lines, then creating the facing pieces, the lining pieces, the pieces over the top. The main part is the bodice, and then the skirt's quite easy. It's just like a lot of draping, which I can do straight onto the mannequin at the end anyway, but it's the bodice that I need to get right, and then the sleeves. Let's do that now. Now that I have that, I'm tracing off all of the pieces that I need to trace off. So because there's quite a lot of pieces laid over the top of other pieces, and some of them are all lining, some of them are main fabric only type of thing, it took quite a bit of work to actually get all those individual pieces off. So this is where we're at right now. I have created this piece underneath, which because this is essentially an apron front or a bib front day dress from the Regency era. So underneath this, you've got the chemise and you've got the pair of stays. Then you kind of put this over the top. So this is really common in that era because for most ordinary people, when not noble or super, super rich people, they got dressed on their own. They didn't have someone getting them dressed. There was no one to kind of lace up their back. So a lot of dresses were actually put on and done up at the front. So this is what this type of dress is. She's got her chemise on, she's got her stays underneath. This kind of comes on like a jacket, and I'll do some little press studs or ties to secure this cross front. Once the skirt and everything is on, it's like an opening at the front. like a fly front for jeans. And then the bottom skirt kind of folds up. So that will be kind of sitting down there. She'll step into it and then it'll come up and that will sit over the top. And there'll be little buttons at the side here and that will secure there. And little buttons on the side as well. And it was quite common for there to be ties at this point. So the tie would kind of wrap around the back and you could either tie it in a bow at the back or you could wrap it back around the front and tie it at the front. So that was quite common. That's what it looks like. Once I've got the skirt over the top and this is the back. You can't really see it, but we've got the seam lines kind of coming over here. There isn't a shoulder seam. There is only a lower back seam that's actually on the back, which is really nice. So cool. Back working on the stays. So I used a pattern making awl just to poke the holes. This is for the eyelets on the front for it to lace up. And I learned quite a lot. I've never done eyelets before. So once I actually got the hang of it and used the tool properly, it was incredible and actually quite quick. So I'm definitely going to use that technique again. Now this is the actual boning that I use. It's not your typical plastic boning, it's metal boning, which is quite flexible, but it did mean that I had to cut all the pieces individually with some metal cutters and then add these little sections onto the end using a separate adapter for the pliers. But it's easy, it's just a kind of a little cap on the end, you squeeze it on and it just stays on there so then nothing's going to poke through and scratch you. So that was fun. I actually had to wear some safety glasses because I was cutting them out and there was bits flying everywhere, so that was a little bit of a safety thing, but they turned out so good. This is it with some elastic because I didn't have any ribbon, and actually the elastic makes sense. I feel like you can breathe better. This is me just drafting the basic sleeve pattern, and I'm just using a slash and open method here because it's all going to be gathered. So you can see here a straight line, and then I'm separating out all the pieces evenly along that line. So that just means the gathering is even across the whole curve of the top of the sleeve. Typical me, I just decided to add some smocking in on the toile hem of the sleeve just for a bit of fun. perfect. I am absolutely shocked. So there's no hem on it yet. There's no buttons or anything, but it's looking really good. Like, I'm actually really happy with it, which is unusual for a first sample. Let me give you a closer look. There's a couple of things that need adjustment. I actually bought the fabric in this little bit, so I need to just release that and keep it a bit straighter. I think there's a bit of a train, so it's hard to move around. I think with my chemise underneath, it's a bit wide, so I'm going to have to add panel up at the shoulder just to kind of bring it down a bit more so it doesn't peek out like that. The back is really beautiful. Maybe I'll make the kite design line a little bit more exaggerated. I'm really happy with the amount of gathering in the center back as well. Side areas are good. This is fine. There's a little bit of pulling on this side. I'll just make sure when I sew the final one that doesn't happen. That's just more tension and placement of the seam when I'm doing it. The lining of this is gathered, and I think I might not gather it because it makes it a bit bumpy here. I might actually just bias cut it, make it a bit flatter. The bodice I'm really happy with. The sleeves I'm really happy with. They're maybe a bit heavy on the gathering at the back. Maybe I'll just like make it a bit straighter here. Bodice I'm really happy with. The little band here that ties into the waist tie at the back I'm really happy with. The length of the train I'm happy with. Just have to figure out how to walk with it. I'm really, really happy. So now I'm just waiting on my final fabric. I'll make those small adjustments to the chemise and I'll fix this little area on here, maybe lower the sleeve pattern, but everything else is really good. So here was my first round of my spoonflower print. Now it was looking quite greeny on the base, like you can't really see it, but I'm so glad I revised it because this is what it looks like now. In comparison, you can see how green the base is compared to what I ended up going with. And the scale is a lot better on here too. This is perfect. For the puffy inserts on the sleeve, I only had white fabric and it just wasn't color matching very well, so I decided to use some black tea and actually dye the linen so it would match it a little bit better and be more of a feature. Sleeves were very elaborate, so they all had little holes cut out of the main sleeve, and then I created a pattern that was larger for the actual bubble inserts, and then I hand stitched those so they would create more of that kind of 3D bubble effect. My little hair trial that I did at home. Not bad for someone with a short bob. Now I was finding that the bubbles in the sleeves are actually collapsing a bit, so I wanted to put some soft tulle inside, but I only had tulle that had little pearls on them, so I had to rip off all the pearls, cut up the soft tulle, and then insert it into each of the bubbles. And then I was thinking, how am I going to do this? It's just going to fall out inside the sleeve. So the idea that I came up with was that I could just use some thick thread and just cross stitch over the top of it so they wouldn't actually fall out. And then then I decided to add tiny little bits of elastic so I could actually do the pearl buttons on the bodice at the top and then at the side. And here is my final hair with all my little faux pearls in it. Not bad for someone who has like a little bob. It's all hairspray, it's all back combing, it's all bobby pins. But I think it's pretty good for this look. It's officially time to get dressed in the entire outfit. So let's do it. Chemise on and my stays on, and the next step is putting the actual dress on. Let's do it. Okay. Oh my god, forgot the pearls. I actually forgot the gloves as well. Now we're finished. Oh my gosh, it's surreal that it's all come together. I can't believe it. Wow. I'm kind of speechless. So much work and it's so beautiful. I'm really happy with it. Check out the rest of my Regency inspired print collection on Spoonflower in the link below.